Namaste, great evening. Well, craziness of the universe. I had Ronald go out and look through the library section to find the Chandipat. It's vanished, okay? Not there. So I had to go to Amazon, spend $144 to get that text. So I hope you guys appreciate it when it gets here. Anyway, be that as it may, it will show up sometimes Tuesday, so then I can continue forward with the direct thing that I want to give you. But what did happen when he was out there, this is the crazy part, okay? He found their Ramana book, Padamalai, okay? So it's kind of like the cream. Malai is like the cream that's on the top of the, so this is like the cream of his teachings, of Ramana's teachings. Now it's out there, and it was here, sealed up, and I had obviously brought this back maybe from India, but I haven't been to India for, I don't know how this has happened, because it's showed up there. I can't believe that I had brought anything back from India that that I hadn't opened, because it's been years. It's been, I've moved from Seattle to here and gotten rid of most of my library. So I don't know, but Padamalai has shown up. And I think it just kind of actually just manifested here. So thank you for showing up, Ramana. It's always nice. But yeah, we'll go ahead and go through. You cannot beat Ramana for non-duality, for just absolute clarity on it. And so yeah, we'll see. We'll go through Padamalai. But again, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful teachings. And he does go through talking about Turiya and Turiyatita, and why Turiya is not enough. One has to go all the way to Turiyatita. And what is the difference? Okay, so again, if you have a teacher, have a guru, and you want to know if they are speaking the truth or not the truth, you can always use Ramana as a reference, okay? Because Ramana is undoubtedly the most non-disputed, non-dualist that has been on the planet as far as extensive writings and clarity, etc. So again, if you have a teacher that's supposed to be realized, you will find that their teachings, that what they are giving will match what Ramana says. If it doesn't match what Ramana says, then you know that they are off on some jaunt, Lord knows what they're giving or teaching, okay? So I'm going to leave this here, but yes, I'll have to go through here. I haven't had a chance to look and see what are the chapters, what we have in here. But yeah, it's, see if I can see here in the beginning what it's saying. These were recorded by Muruganam, which was one of his people that were there. So it's got Bhagavan Padam, it's his teachings, the characteristics, benefit, his promises and declarations. It's about the self, consciousness, other synonyms synonyms for the self, guru and the jnani. Talks about ego, enlightened life. What is enlightened life? What is enlightened perspective? The ego-free life. So maybe we'll do that. We'll look through there real quick. And it's got through also mind and its creations, the nature of mind. Sutaravu, individual identity, the avastas. It's got about practice, liberation and silence, peace, abiding is peace, what remains, self-inquiry, surrender, love, devotion, advice on sadhana, grace, effort, maturity, maturity and immaturity, the world and its creator, about creation, seer and seen, the reality of the world appearance, Ishvara and destiny, right knowledge, right behavior, right attitude, about religions and religious knowledge, death and suffering, right attitude, right behavior, and Padam's grace toward Muruganar. Say, okay, so those are some of the things that are in here. So let me go to, because I speak of this often, I speak of often about what it is for the enlightened life, what it is to gone beyond ego when one has dissolved and imploded into that, and what remains. So let's see, 132. Let's go here and we will read it, 132, 134. And his words should match up with what I have been saying. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and read this. The enlightened life, the ego-free life. Only a sage who has vanquished the dishonorable delusion known as I, will all the actions that are performed become yoga. Yoga in this context does not imply any striving to accomplish anything. It implies abidance in the state of union with the self. In a similar vein, Bhagavan has said on other occasions that all the actions of jnanis are acts of worship. Okay. So only those enlightened ones who have completely renounced the I can act as benefactors granting boons. When the ego that made one forget the self has been destroyed, one rises resurrected as the Atma Swarup. That life of the self is imperishable. So the question is, in the jnani, the ego subsists in the sattvic form, and therefore it appears as something real. Am I right? And Bhagavan says no. The existence of the ego in any form, either in the jnani or ajnani, is in itself an appearance. But to the ajnani, who is deluded into thinking that the waking state and the world are real, the ego also appears to be real. Since he sees the jnani act like other individuals, Alen, let me read that again. When he sees the jnani act as other individuals, okay, he feels constrained to posit some notion of individuality in reference to the jnani also. So the question is, how then does the aham vritti, the I thought, function in the jnani? Bhagavan says it does not function in him at all. And that's right, it doesn't come up at all. There is no feeling of I. That dissolves, that's gone. Okay, so let's continue forward. Living in the world with the worthless ego destroyed is like witnessing a battle of rutting elephants from the vantage point of a mountain peak. The rutting elephants are the egos of the unenlightened. One implication of this image is that the jnani is safe and secure on his mountain vantage point, whereas the unenlightened are all in danger. The jnani stands aloof from all and fights the battles of the world, seeing them as a projection that is ultimately unreal. Bhagavan says, the external universe is a cinema show to the realized man. It is free, and the performance goes on day and night. It's what I call it, the soap opera. It is the soap opera of the drama that people engage in. He lives and works in it, knowing that its objects and bodies are illusory appearances, just as an ordinary man knows the scenes and characters on the cinema screen at a theater are illusions and do not exist in real life. But the ordinary man takes the external objects of daily life as real, whereas the realized one sees them only as illusory cinema pictures. Those who are abiding in Padam with their egos destroyed are true devotees, steadfast as a mountain. We go on to the enlightened perspective. In the natural life, in which both inner and outer have become harmonious, worldly life and godly life will become one. So the question is, what is the difference between the baddha and the mukta, the bound man, and the one liberated? Bhagavan says, the ordinary man lives in the brain, unaware of himself in the heart. The jnana, siddha, the one who has attained jnana, lives in the heart. So where do I tell you always to keep your attention? In the heart. See from the heart, breathe from the heart, be in the heart. This is so important. When he moves about and deals with men and things, he knows what he sees is not separate from the one supreme reality, the Brahman, that he realized in the heart as his own self, the real. Question is, what about the ordinary man? Bhagavan says, I have just said that he sees things outside of himself, that he is separate from the world, from his own deeper truth, from the truth that supports him and what he sees. The man who has realized the supreme truth of his own existence realizes that it is the one supreme reality that is there behind him, behind the world. In fact, he is aware of the one as real, the self in all selves, in all things eternal and immutable, in all that is impermanent and mutable. Because of the majestic outlook of Brahman, karma, action, activity is not different from Brahman. Living as the self is the essence of all dharmas, and all other dharmas merge there. The Guru Vachaka Kovai, verse 705, says, since the impartite, non-dual, true jnana abides and shines as the refuge for all dharma observances, the jnani alone becomes the one who has observed all the dharmas. So Vilkakam says, since non-dual jnana alone shines as the refuge for all the dharmas, the jnani who is established in that state automatically becomes the one who has observed all dharmas impeccably. There is no greater dharma than getting firmly established in the self. All the actions of that jnani who possess motionless consciousness are actions of God. Again, motionless consciousness. Okay? Still, that still point. There is no active thought that is out there engaging and creating more of the illusion. Okay, so let's go forward. Associating with the world in a harmonious way, householders will conduct themselves from the secure viewpoint of their own self-nature. The great ones who stand triumphant in this world are those who have fully realized in their hearts the one which is of the form of consciousness. That boundless existence attained by the great sages who know it as final liberation is the most fitting and excellent state. For those who conduct themselves in such a way that they do not deviate from the noble path, the path of Sat, every state is equally and pleasingly acceptable. In the hearts of muktas, who delight in the sweet savor of mon, none of these tastes of food and drink will find a hold. So mon is that silence, that stillness. Mauna, some people think it means not speaking. It doesn't mean not speaking. Mon means that mind is still, it is quiet. Okay? Has nothing to do with not talking. It has to do with that quiet, the mind still, 0 point balance. Okay. So let's go on forward. The phrase tastes of food and drink in Tamil implies perceptions of all the other senses as well. Conducting oneself in such a way one sees even oneself as anaya, other, apart, is living the life of abiding in the self-consciousness. The word anyan here, translated as other, apart in this context, means completely detached from the body. Bhagavan says only that man who has desires, who identifies himself with the body. No, Max. But the sage has become free from the thought of I am the body. The sage looks upon his own body as if it were the body of another. Max, yes, I know somebody's out there. I know somebody's out there, okay? Come on. The jnani knows himself to be the unmanifest self, not just the body that it animates. From that perspective, the body is sometimes seen to be something that is other, something that's not real and fundamental part of his being. This was brought out by a verse Bhagavan composed in January 1946. The body is impermanent, whether it's at rest or moves about, and whether by reason of prarabdha it clings to him and falls off from him. The self-realized siddha is not aware of it, even as the drunken man blinded by intoxication is unaware whether his cloth is on his body or not. Other occasions, Bhagavan compared his body to a leaf plate that could be discarded after a meal that had been eaten, and to a load of a worker that has carried a long distance. The worker, said Bhagavan, looks forward to discarding his load, knowing it is something other, something he can happily live without. And the next verse indicates the self is the true reality that can never be destroyed or discarded. Those who have realized the truth will subjugate and conquer even Yama, the god of death, through the power of their jnana that shines as a result of their tapasya. The real is that which cannot be destroyed, and that which can be destroyed is not the real. One who knows this to be the truth is a wise one. Or what I say is that which comes and goes is not the reality. The reality is that unchanging is. Okay? So if you are watching, if you are looking, if you are in witness state, whatever comes and goes is not the genuine, unchanging is. So therefore, that is part of illusion. Okay? So let's go forward. Those that are established in consciousness, the self who have uprooted the ego, the infatuation, will live as glorious beings born through the grace of God. That state in which peace abounds through the full attainment of self-knowledge is the most exalted condition, the highest of the high. Only those who, as inquirers, have realized their true nature shining within their hearts are Brahmins, possessors of jnana. And this is what I have said also many times. Those that know me know my teachings from a long time ago. It used to be the Brahmins were the knowers of Brahman, not those that are born into priesthood by birth and class. Therefore, when I was in India, and the Brahmins, so-called Brahmins, would come over and say, I can do ceremonies for you. I said, really? Are you a knower of Brahman? Are you a realized being? If not, you are not a true Brahman. Okay, you're not a Brahman. Because a Brahman is only one that's a knower of Brahman, a realized being. Okay, by birth does not make one a true Brahman. Okay, so let's continue forward. Only those who as inquirers have realized their true nature shining within their hearts are Brahmins, possessors of Gyan. A Brahmin is one that has the heart that possesses the true Gyan experience and cool compassion in his mind. Though the word Brahmin generally denotes a member of a particular caste, the etymology of this word can also mean and make it one who knows Brahman. Those who are struggling hard every day to flourish in the artificial life of the world have not thought about the natural life of Gyan that bestows true contentment. For the Jnani, who has become firm by his renunciation, everything is only good and nothing is repugnant. The experience of the self in which arises an exhilarating indifference that says to me, what does it matter where the sun rises? It is truly a wonder. In this world, appearance that shines has many differences. What is the true Jnani relishes is the light of consciousness. And so there we have that first section of the Padamalai. Okay, so namaste. I hope you've enjoyed that reading of the Padamalai.